Okay, so let's take a look at how you can set up EDB Biganimal cloud account. So if you go to enterprisedb.com, and here you have option to check for Biganimal, right? So EDB Biganimal plan, where you are going to use it for PostgreSQL database. So basically it's Postgres on cloud account, right? So to use that, click on free trial. Here you will have to fill up your details, right, and then click on submit. This should create your account with enterprise db. Next thing, you will be presented with this sign in box, right? So let's see. If I choose my username and I log into account, right, now this should show you the account options. Here at the top you have dashboard, right? Within dashboard you will be given option to try out Biganimal, which is Postgres on cloud, right? So you can click on test drive for free. Next thing would be to choose the cluster and where you want the Postgres to be installed. So between Azure and AWS you can choose, right? So here you see it will welcome you to use Biganimal, but you will be needing option to create a cluster, right? So here you can see 14-day trial per cluster, right? So you will click on create new cluster. So on this particular page we are going to take a look at cluster type. You use single node for small work, and if you don't want too many of features, including say if you are using it for business or so high availability, etc., and distributed nature of database, in that case you can choose single node cluster, right? And that would lead to selection of your cluster node, one node, cluster type single node, right? Networking public, right? Then backup is retained for 7 days. Then you have to choose between Azure and AWS. So let's say if you choose AWS, and if you go for cluster settings, it will ask you to give a name for cluster. So let's say if I choose Postgres, and we are going to name this EDB. So my cluster name is Postgres EDB. Then we have to select password up to like 12 characters, right? So let's say I choose something like this. Then we have like a few more characters missing. So what I can do in this case is can simply use any longer password generator in password here, right? It is stronger and I can use it. Now next thing, I want to check database type. I can choose Oracle compatible or PostgreSQL as is. So we'll choose PostgreSQL. Then version we can select 15. Then we can choose between the region. Now we can choose instance. So whatever available we have to go with that. Then instance size, so we'll pick whatever that is available. Then volume type, we don't know what the volume would be, just choose those detail and we will go with that. Next we will choose DB configuration, right? We don't know much about it, so we will just go to create cluster, right? Now on this page we will be seeing the cluster. So once it is created, you will be seeing it right here. So let's wait for the status to change. So currently it is in request mode, that's why it is showing the blue icon. Once completed, it will show you other status messages as well. Right, so as you can see, it is now showing created 1 minute ago. So let's wait for it to finish the completion. Meanwhile, we can take a look at dashboard around. So here in the overview, you can see we haven't spinned any cluster, so it is in request mode. Then we have a user section. Currently only I am here, right? Next would be to see the activity log. So I created the project as well as I requested the cluster, right? So these two things you can take a look at within activity log. So any other further operation, it will be listed here, right? So now we go back to clusters, take a look at current status of it, right? So it's still in 12%, so we'll have to wait for that request to pass, right? So another thing is I have to check for what other options we have within this free trial, right? So we can go back to projects, and here you see currently you only have one project name, right? And the name for that project is chosen by the Biganimal, right? So you will see all projects, and currently we have option to edit this, but our database is in request mode, so we'll have to wait for that, right? And considering this is free account, only one project seems to be available for now, right? So if you want to create more project, you have to contact the sales team. So let's wait for it to finish, right? So okay, once your cluster is set up, it should show you the status like this. As you can see the green icon here, also it will tell you that you have 13 days remaining. So the today's date is already gone, so it's not really 14 days, so it will take you like 30 days now, right? You can also edit few things here, so you can click on that. So we can see the things that we can edit. We have like DB configuration changes that you can make. Also you have additional options for backups that you can edit, but considering our instance is already created and with free plan we don't have option to change that, so we will have to let it be as is. So we have single node hosted on AWS, so we managed to create one cluster. Now here you can see the credential information for this particular Postgres instance, right? Also if you don't want this cluster anymore, you can click on delete cluster, right? So take a look at credential information to see what is possible for us. So here you can see it will show you connection information, right? Then we have database name db-admin, then read write host, so we have like URL, port 5432, user is edb_admin, and your password, that blob is also given. So these are some of the things that you can see here. Obviously even if you see these details in near future, all of this password and all API will be gone, considering this is just a 14-day trial and everything created right now will be gone. So I don't mind showing you all the API and other details, but you get the idea. You managed to create a cluster with Biganimal on AWS infrastructure, and now you can try the Postgres EDB version in cloud. Now one more thing is that when you click on the cluster name, your cluster name should point you to option for connecting to that database. For example, if you have pSQL installed on your system, you can simply copy this and paste it in your terminal or shell, right? And then it will ask you for password of that account, right? So edb_admin is your username here. You will have to give it a password once it gives you that prompt, right? And then you will be connected to this particular database, right? There is monitor and login option, but it's reserved for paid, so you are kind of limited on that. There is also the connect options that we discussed earlier. If you don't remember your username, you can simply use this, right? And this is your read write host, so you can use these details to connect to your database on cluster.